Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Can Cynthia Erivo portray FBA? Can she do that? Really? Or is there a Majora spirit involved? We're gonna get into it. And I've been having an issue of people being paternalistic to FBAs. Gonna tell us I just came off a re-up stage, and a dude just telling us all about our history and stuff. I'm sick of that. Listen, this is you. You are this. No, I know who I am. I have a long lineage. I know exactly who I
Was
am.
he African?
Yeah. Basically. Yeah. What's up? We're gonna start this different. Elder, go ahead. We're gonna let Elder start it off. Come on with it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 'cause I know you was gonna roll, but I had asked you a question in DM earlier. That birthright citizenship, right? I've been told by others uh, that it's been in front of the Supreme Court three times, twice before the Wong case, and it was put down. So I was wondering
You know
if
which
there's any
year
way.
that was? The Wong case. You remember the time frame?
Well, I think it was at the end of the 1800s, the Wong thing,
Okay. Okay.
1890 something.
That's what I thought. Okay.
So it had to happen between that and the 14th Amendment, right? After the Civil War.
Paternalistic toward it. Yeah.
And I just can't find the information on it.
I'm gonna have to, is it that the 14th the Naturalization Act?
It was had to do with the 14th Amendment. It was which came after the Civil War, but they said that that birthright citizenship had been to the Supreme Court a total of three times.
Well,
Twice it was put down under the Fourth Amendment, and then the last one was Wong, where it was approved. And to me, it seems just like abortions, right?
uh-huh.
Um, we all know how many times that went to the Supreme Court, and then it was finally put down. So something that's evidently there today don't mean it's going to apply later on down the line. So that's what I was wondering.
I'm gonna clear up this 14. Like everybody's I'm not talking about you, Elder, but like in the last couple of days, everybody's a damn constitutional law professor. I actually teach con law. I teach two sections of it, and I know enough to know that it's very confusing. So let me clear something up with the 14th Amendment right quick. So with law, um, judges are allowed to interpret a bunch of different ways. Some of them are like black letter, like exactly what it says. Some of them can interpret it. I think it's called natural original intent. What did it originally mean? And y'all already know what the Constitution originally meant. Um, but the 14th Amendment, let me read something from Dr. Howard Zinn to clear up the 14th Amendment. Uh, According to Dr. Howard Zinn, very soon after the 14th Amendment became law, the Supreme Court began to demolish it as a protection for blacks and to develop it as a protection for corporations. You heard that? So after it was from the moment the 14th Amendment got saying implemented for us, it was being used um at to protect corporations. Why? Um it was the Supreme Court decision, Munns versus Illinois, approved state laws regarding the prices charged to farmers for grain during elevator. The grain, forget my dog in the background. The grain elevator company argued that it was a person being deprived of property, thus violating the Fourth Amendment declaration. Nor shall any state deprive any person for life. So I want to clear. That's kind of complicated, but it's not really complicated. People play games with law, and we need to learn how to play these games. So basically, the Supreme Court, the moment the 14th Amendment was issued, the Supreme Court, trying to keep us from using it, said it was used this case to show that it was used to defend corporations. Why? Because in my pro se opinion, but this is fact, at a corporation is considered a person. Why? I don't know, but corporations are considered one person, and so the point of me trying to say this, I know it's boring y'all half to death, is games are played with these laws, and the what we need to learn how to do is play the game with law to make it fit us. Even though it was the 14th Amendment was created for us, games were played immediately after it was implemented. So um, we got to be careful with the 14th Amendment. Go ahead, Elder.
I don't. I don't believe it has anything to do with immigrants. It has everything to do with us. But
Oh,
we'll just have to challenge it. And I don't think we needed that because our lineage was created here. Where on earth would we be citizens? Where on earth would we be citizens but the United States, but North America? We have no, we have nothing to do with these other countries like the other people talking. The other people in the conversation have other countries. Go ahead, Mr. Elder.
Yeah, but and I know another thing that one of the other things I know the Supreme Court looks at is the Federalist Papers, if I'm correct. I've heard that mentioned as far as finding intent, right? Um, but to me, I mean, Democrats, that South mentality, anything ever meant for black people have always been fucking this, excuse the French, but taken away from us and used for others. That's the same thing that happened with DEI. And I see other, brothers and sisters out here, oh, he's taking DEI. And I'm like, don't you research any of this? 63% of that is used for white women. So let it go. It
Only
don't really have
3%
nothing
of
for
us
us.
use it. 3% of us have used it, and 0.7% Native Americans.
Yeah, I know this might be seem selfish, but thank God I wasn't a DEI sergeant major when I got my rank. I swear to God, because then I would be, people. I think we can go toe to toe with anybody. I really do think that. I don't know why many of us are scared to go toe and toe with an Asian, with an Indian. I don't care who in the hell ever. You can file lawsuits as far as there's being anything underhanded done to you. You know what I'm saying? That's where we're supposed to go. But I'm not scared of black Americans going up against any damn body. We've always proved that we were smart enough. I mean, look at all the inventions we got. We've been smart enough in the military. We distinguish ourselves. We distinguish ourselves hundreds of years because we always had to be better. We always had to be better. We didn't rely on other things to get us over. And I think we need to go back to that.
right. So let's. And you're exactly right, Elder. But let's come on. Let's dive deep into the 14th Amendment. So, um, common law can be a little boring, but let's do this. So the Supreme Court had adopted the argument that corporations were persons. Remember, like I told you earlier, every corporation is considered a person. Those of you who have LLCs know this. Like if you get in trouble, you can't really go to court. You have to get an attorney because you can't represent a corporation because it's considered a friggin' person. Isn't that stupid? Um, and their money was property protected by the due process of the 14th Amendment. So the 14th Amendment, given the fact that corporations are considered persons, how do corporations speak? They speak by spending money. Isn't law ridiculous? That's what they say. So supposedly the amendment had, according to Howard Zinn, supposedly the amendment had been passed, like Wani and Elder said, to protect the Negro rights. But the 14th Amendment cases brought before the Supreme Court between 1890 and 1910 dealt with the Negro. 288 dealt with corporations. Um, yeah, so they tried to make it about corporations. So what we're gonna have to do, like Tariq said, we're gonna need more constitutional attorneys. Like we got to get around this nonsense. Shit, if y'all wanna, I'll do.
What about all the other countries that don't do that? I mean, some of the countries like Greece and China, you can't say you're Greek or Chinese, even if you're a legal citizen there. And no squatting a baby on the border, like what we've seen these stories since the 80s of them doing that, that doesn't make you a citizen in every country. Citizenship means things in countries, and it should have never been degraded like it's been degraded here.
Well, it was degraded in diametric, and I mean, I was talking about this with my students earlier. It's in diametric opposition to us. That's the only reason it was used as buffer class against us. That's what this is all about. So I don't know. We're going to figure out a way around it. Um, but it's going to take constitutional lawyers. We need black constitutional lawyers, and constitutional law is not. It's not glamorous. It's a little boring. I'm trying to juice it up for you guys, but you know, it's gonna have to. This is what we need because we need to argue that these laws, the 14th Amendment, does apply to us because that's what the original intent was for the according to Dr. Howard Zinn, it was originally intended for the Negro.
Definitely. It has nothing to do with the way they're interpreting it. You can see it's very opportunistic to do that.
Right. Black Craig, what's on your mind? Black Craig, can you hear me? Black Craig going once?
Um,
Oh, can you hear me?
he, it showed that he was still connect. Yeah, he went back down the listener for some reason.
Okay. Let's shift gears for a minute.
That's,
Oh, go ahead.
no, I was just going to bring him back up.
Okay, yeah. While you bringing him back up, let well, nothing but maybe I'm jumping the gun too fast. Nothing but a G thing. What's on your mind? Can you hear me? Nothing but a G thing.
The same thing just happened. They
Yeah,
raised. Go ahead.
I can. Uh, I want to ask. Well, first of all, I was in Rio space. Pete, first of all, peace to the room. First,
What's up, brother?
uh, I I was in Rio space, and I heard you talking about how they don't teach us real history, right?
Right.
Because I was in my late 20s when I found out about Robert F. Williams or whatever. Uh, and I want this is a little controversial, and I want to ask you. Do you think I know MLK birthday just passed? We revere him and we love him and he's his sacrifice. But I want to ask, do you think that MLK was an unknowing plant by the NAACP to make sure that black people didn't go the way of Robert F. Williams?
Well, no. That's a good question. Wow, great question. No, MLK was honest. This is gonna be hard to say, but MLK was a unwitting agent. Um, MLK, Dr. King was real young. Um, let me wait my
Naive. He's naive.
naive as hell. Like he was
He
brilliant.
thought that Gandhi was a great guy, but we later found out Gandhi was a racist, a bitter racist that just wanted rights for Indians. So he was naive. I
He
mean,
was very naive. He went to Morehouse. Basically, what came out was Dr. King was groomed from a very young age. I heard some wild shit on how they were grooming him from like childhood, but I'm not sure if that's true. But I do know they were grooming him from Morehouse, and he was being groomed in certain societies. Let's leave it there. Well, Dr. King, when he was getting PhD at Boston University, uh, certain ideologies was put in his head intentionally to to kind of to be disseminated to the black community. So one of the ideologies put in his head was the idea of nonviolence. But before we go into that, we have to look at where that came from. It's very interesting. So Gandhi, who was revered as some peaceful activist, was actually, according to Dr. John Henry Clark, a con man. Um, Gandhi was Gandhi went to Cambridge School of Law in England, and uh, where Gandhi was imbued with this idea of nonviolence. Why was that important? If you look at the East, isn't the East India Company, Wandi, I don't want to get it wrong, but the East India Company in India was really important for the British sale of their of dope. They were selling tea and opioids, opium to China. Great Britain took over China, man. How fucking powerful is that? They got Great Britain got China hooked on dope, like no shit. Anyway, long story short, uh, Gandhi, India has a fuckload of people, a whole bunch of people, and Britain couldn't really pull the strong arm on India because so many people were there. So they needed to come up with some weaponized cultural tactic to get the Indians under control. So the evil brilliance of the English is they devised a plan of nonviolence. They said, let's teach these people to not fight us. Even if it's against to their detriment, they're not going to fight us. So they got Gandhi to spread an ideology of nonviolence in India, which don't make sense in nature. What did uh Isaac Newton discover, and what Newton second? For every action there's an equal or opposite what? Reaction. Man, if you hit the fucking wall, do y'all know the wall hits you back? Man, if you fall out of an airplane at 30,000 feet and you hit the water hits you back. Like that's just nature. Like there, for every action there's an opposite or equal reaction. The English trained the Indians into just taking a reaction and not doing anything about it. And there is some question to some sacred scripture, but I'm gonna leave that alone. I don't want to piss nobody off. But anyway, uh, that ideology that Gandhi spit and spread all over India was used by proxy to be imbued upon Dr. King, to thereby be imbued upon us. And you see what it did to us. It damn near destroyed us. And King realized that at the end of his life. What did he say? Somebody say it. I'm not even gonna say it. Have I what? Have I led what? Led my people into a burning house? He caught it. Right. He got it. He caught it when it was too late. Nothing but. What's on your mind? Uh-oh. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Nothing
He
but.
has
What's on your
his
mind?
hand up. Wait a minute, this person might not be on the stage, even though it shows he's on the stage.
Okay. While we wait on nothing but, what's going on, Indy?
It shows Indy connecting.
Yeah. What's going on today?
I don't know.
It's a
But I
little
just wanted to
weird.
add a little bit. They downplay the rebellious side of Dr. Martin Luther King and prop up the forgive and forget side. So remember that. I guess if you want to know more about his beliefs, you just have to read more about him. But they don't mind killing you and then making a museum and parades and everything about you, just like they did with the Tas um, Tasmanian people. They'll get rid of all of your whole ethnicity and then make a nice museum about it. And that's basically what they did with Dr. Martin Luther King. They deified him, they propped him up. He was a hero. He was the one we were supposed to follow behind. But I'm more of a Black Panthers girl. So even though I respect what he was doing and I know he has a radical side, I still thought the Black Panthers were the
Hey,
correct
Wani.
direction.
Hey,
Yes,
Wani. Hey, Wani. This Queen Wani. This your boy Indy Lil Pat.
I know.
What's
I'm
I
seeing
know
it.
professor giving out the scholarship, and they done struck a blow to the black delegation, thinking he about to turn 1965. Talking about, let me do some scholarship, professor, just for a few minutes, and I'm gonna land my plane and get off here
Go
real
ahead,
quick.
bro.
Um, what is it? Lyndon B. Johnson said he could have Negroes voting for Democrat for 200 years if he signed this 1965 bill. I feel like there's a strike on all the uh, civil rights leaders that were working with MLK, and some that died before them. The great Mega Evers. I don't know if people ever watched his movie or knew about, studied the great Mega Evers down there. I think down there, what was that, Mississippi Burning? I think, I don't know, but that's some little black media. Or, but now
Is he breaking up for y'all or just me? Jesus. I have full bars and my thing is acting up.
What happened?
I don't know. I was hoping because I have full bars, so I knew it wasn't
Were
me,
you
but
walking around?
no, I'm laying down, so it's not. I have full bars.
But
What did you see it? Did you see some kind of alert or error?
they distracted us
No,
with the
no.
school shooting and at the same time. I was watching
Hell.
like fake news.
Or what's happening?
Oh,
Why,
that's him.
why is he breaking up?
I don't know, Indy. Can you stop walking around? Stay in the same place, cause my thing, I got 3 bars and it's not. Can you hear me clearly, with Wani?
Yep.
Okay, good. I was making sure it wasn't me. Indy, when you get reception, come back. Regina, what's on your mind?
Hey, Professor, family, y'all can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. I think Indy was in a bad place.
My question is, Professor, have you heard of the
Oh my God.
What is going on?
To say, but
So
people can mind
breakfast.
their business and it ain't that serious. But you
Hold
assaulting
on.
everybody. Like I can discriminate
Hold
Indy,
on you about
on.
a job and how
Wait.
What's
it,
going
it,
on? What
You were.
happened?
Hold on.
I don't
Indy, you
understand.
blanked out a long, long time. And then when you came back on, you were yelling. So let's get
Yeah,
organized a bit. Indy, can you hear me? Indy,
Indy, drop down and come back, because I
this is
think some.
ridiculous.
I've never seen this before, but it's not. It's not on my end. I got 3 full bars, and y'all hear me
No,
clearly.
this is an app issue because everybody is not breaking up.
Yeah, I
Weird.
believe Wani. I think Wani's correct because this is, yeah, it's this app.
Interesting. Indy, I'm gonna drop you down and bring you right back up. Who was talking earlier?
We were waiting
Was
on
he?
Regina.
Yeah, Regina was supposed to talk.
Regina, come back. You still there? Well, while we wait on Regina, Empress, you can go.
Good evening, Professor and gorgeous Nikki. How are you?
Good
It's an
evening.
app.
How you doing?
Something's off.
It,
It's showing
it's
me that
the
she's a
app.
listener. It's showing me
It's
that
the
she's a
app.
listener.
No, it says I'm a speaker. It's
Yeah, I
the
see
app is
speaker.
going in and out. It's definitely speaker. It's not a listener.
Oh, I'm
Okay, I see
sorry.
It's,
speaker. Go
it's
ahead,
the
love.
app. Yeah, it's the app. I'm seeing where it's like popping on and off. I don't know if it's just, certain people or what's going on, but I can see what you're talking about. It's definitely popping in and out.
Yep.
So I just want you to know that it is because I'm looking at myself where it says speaker, not listener.
I'm not worried about it. They probably trying to hate a little bit, but the scholarship gonna get through. We gonna fight through it. Go ahead. What's on your
Hey,
mind, love?
uh, you know something that is amazing to me?
Yes, ma'am.
And I've been noticing something, I don't know if you've seen it coming heavy in Instagram. It seems to be like a overabundance of jealousy and hatred coming from non FBAs where they don't like that we are separating ourselves from that nonsense. Today, they are making announcements that they're going to cut off people's Medicaid, Medicare under the Trump announcement, and then also cut off with civil rights when it comes to employment, where you can't discriminate based on race. So it will reverse the Elliott Larson's Act. Have you heard that, Professor?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's going on is a couple things. Number one, somebody in a prior space was saying that people from outside the country are heavily vetted before they come over here. So
Wow.
the type of people that generally, now this is generally make it to the United States from diasporic areas have been vetted heavily. Now I saw this shit in West Africa. Um,
Wow.
it, when I was in West Africa, we hung out with the Tree people. That's the name of their tribe, and these people were so humble and sweet, and like I wanted to take half those kids home, like adopt half of them. Like these were like just real folk, and actually they kind of reminded me of like Birmingham people, like that for people in my hometown, Birmingham, Alabama. But the teenagers would come to us saying, "Brother, we want to come to the States and study." Now, I was a professor at a historically black college. I was with two professors from Miles College, a black school in Birmingham, and professors from other PWIs, one from University of Alabama, one from UAB, one from Sanford. But anyway, we were trying to we couldn't get them over here. And what I figured out is like, okay. The system cherry picks who it lets over here. And it's my opinion that the people who make it over here from West Africa have to have some type of lineage or um some type of standing or status, you know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
generally those are people who are complicit with the slave trade, who are attached to lineage who was complicit with the slave trade. What I'm trying to
Yeah.
say is people that make it over here from certain places are automatically have vitriol for black Americans. It's a fact. Now that doesn't apply to everywhere, but I'd be damned if it don't apply to West Africa. Um, it- you know what I'm
We're
saying?
getting a different quality of people than other places because they're not running across the border per se. We do have some that have gone to Mexico and ran across the Mexican border, but we are getting a direct shot from these groomed coons. And other places are just getting anything that floats up on a raft. So it's a different quality.
Yeah, yeah. I had a well, I went lived in Rochester, New York for a year, and I met a guy there. He taught. Well, he was a janitor at my school. He was real young, but he was cool as hell. He's from Jamaica, and he had a girlfriend from Turkey, and from Turkey, and he was showing me. She left his stuff, like her little naturalization stuff, over his apartment, and we were over there having drinks and stuff. And he showed me the video, and the video was it was some little comment because they watch videos to try to take the test to become American. And it was something in the video that said it didn't outright say it, but it was basically it said something like, don't hang out with the street people because if you get caught with them and you get a record, you won't become an American citizen. And guess who the street people were? It was just telling them basically don't hang out with black folk because it was imbuing a sense of vitriol towards black Americans. This what I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen, is this is a systematic thing and it's done really slick. And I have my theories on that. My theories on that go back to the feudalistic system. Let me find a picture to put in the jumbotron to help y'all out. The
Wait, who did they say which group was being told to stay away? Because I know I contacted those missionaries that train their little chimps to come over here and act up against us.
uh
Did you say the exact person who was doing that?
well, no, the video that she had, the little natural, I guess it's called naturalization. I
Which
forgot the.
group which group was being told that? Which
She
African
was
group?
she was Turkish. She was
Oh,
Turkish, but
Turkish people were being told to stay away from Black Americans?
yeah, it didn't say Black Americans. It said
Oh,
people on the street or something like that, and it had them
oh,
dressed up
okay.
like it was us. That's who it was.
Yeah, who cares of Turkish people? I mean, nobody wants them around. I know so many Turkish and Greek people that came over here, got involved in jazz, and pretended to be black. So they didn't follow the directions at all.
Yeah, but the message is so slick. It's so embedded. If y'all look at the jumbotron, there it is. Like Dr. Claude Anderson said, America is the extension of the old royalist system. Um, the old royalist system, and uh, basically, according, I'm paraphrasing Dr. Anderson. The king, like in the feudalistic system, bloodline made you. If you look at the two top tiers, the kingship and the nobles, those two tiers was bloodline. You have to have the bloodline. Now there were very few exceptions to nobility. If you click on it and enlarge it, I think a pastor's in nobility. So if you went through the church, you could become a nobility. And sometimes a duke or a baron um, could be picked outside the bloodline if the king or the earls and stuff really liked the guy. You know what I'm saying? And there were other ways to become an earl that I'm not going to talk about, but y'all can kind of use your imagination and know what I'm saying. Well, anyway, um basically those two top tiers are off limits. Everybody couldn't get there. So the whole idea of the new world is to create royalism based upon skin color, based upon being white. Whiteness didn't exist. Dr. Claude Anderson said that America, we created whiteness. Whiteness was created in diametric opposition to us, which, like our sister Wani Spot says, blackness was created in diametric opposition to white, which is why we're proud of being black. I like the way that sound. Well, anyway, long story short, um, that that system right there, for it to exist, you have to have a bottom caste. There's no way to be the king if you don't have a peasant. So this system requires somebody to be the bottom caste. And historically, even though it's a fallacy, we have been identified in a fictitious sense as the peasant class. I say fictitious because we've never been peasants. We've always had money. We've always had land, you know. But from a narrative standpoint, black has to be the bottom for this system to operate, if that makes any sense. The black, what's on your mind?
What's going on, Professor, Warren, Nikki, everybody in the space? I think it was on Regina,
Oh, go ahead,
if I'm
Regina.
not mistaken.
Go ahead, Regina. I didn't see her.
Thank you, brother. Again, good evening,
I
professor.
can't see. I can't see who's on the stage. Can somebody just drop me and bring me back up?
I'll drop you, Nikki.
You can hear me, professor?
I hear you just fine.
Okay, so I was wondering, I have a question for you. I've been hearing like on TikTok lately that a lot of the immigrants that are like anchor babies here are trying to use the Wong Kim Ark case. I'm not a lawyer or anything, but when I looked it up, it was basically like the parents of immigrants who came like to study, but they're trying to make that for the people that came here illegally. Because you are a lawyer, I think, right?
I'm a mediator. I went to law school, but I'm not practicing law. I just lost my. I was licensed with Tennessee Supreme Court for mediation, so I did divorce, child custody, and contract mediation. But yeah, so I'm not practicing. But I went to law school.
Well, do you think that they really have a case for that? Like, is that really something that they can do?
And illegal? No.
I would have to. Well, I would have to look at the case law. But yeah, if yeah, it's hard. Rather not say without looking at the case law. But what Wani said sounded right.
You mean like the children of illegals that are born here? Is that what we're speaking about?
Yes, ma'am. Because the case.
That's just gonna have to go to the Supreme Court and hopefully we'll win.
Yeah, they said that they took it to like I guess court or whatever with Barack Obama, and they made this like a case with Kamala Harris as well. But I think what like excluded Kamala was for her parents actually coming here to study. But it just kind of bothered me because I'm in Texas. It's full of damn Mexicans everywhere. And I just was like, oh my gosh, it kind of put like a skip in my heart because it's not like well, yeah, I do. I want them all to go, but I just don't want it to be any loopholes. And that was it. Thanks, Professor.
Yeah, you're welcome. Go. Ooh, I think it was the black, and then no taxation, then Cadillac black.
I can wait till no taxation go.
Okay, that's cool. Come on, no taxation. What's on your mind?
Hey, you sound like you need a hot toddy. How you doing?
Oh, no, we up here sniffling, but I'm happy. I'm
I
happy with
know
my little
that's right.
cold.
I know that's right. Hey, Nikki and Wani.
Hey,
Nikki,
sweetie.
about that, I'm gonna hold off because apparently those people scrubbed the internet. But if you got anything, send it over there to me because I sure can use it. But I'm gonna hold off for a second.
Yes,
Scrubbed it as
ma'am.
what?
Okay. You ain't go back there. I seen your DM.
Oh,
What?
you sent me something?
I did. Yeah, I told you
Oh,
I
okay.
sent you something. Professor, I didn't send it to you yet because I know you got a lot on your plate, but when it's time, I'll send it to you.
Thank you, love.
Hey, everybody in the room. Look
Hey,
here. Let me tell you something. You talked about the people, and I was connecting the dots as you were speaking, Professor, because I lived in England and I understand that system over there. I actually was over there when the Irish had a problem with the Queen and they was doing all that bombing and stuff over there. Who was that? The Irish Revolutionary Army or something like that. So I was up close and personal with it, and I was able to see and understand what that is. And you're right, the system here, and me living in New York now, it's really evident. And the further up you go, the more evidence there is of that, where it's more a style of them patterning themselves after English monarchy type of stuff. But you said that, and guess what I discovered today? I got to pull it up. You're not going to believe it.
What you discovered?
Well, somebody asked AI what would happen, and this goes directly to, I'm going to send it, put it in the chat. This goes directly to the oligarchs have to have the elites that have to have the managers that have to do us. What would happen if the entire black community left Instagram, TikTok, and X, just left the platform and never came back? That was the question to AI. What impact would that have on these platforms in a multitude of ways? And it
Okay.
went through the cultural. Man, let me tell you something. Listen, this is powerful information. I remember I did research on when it was.
That was my fault. I'm sorry. I was scrolling. Go ahead
That's
and unmute
a good
yourself.
one for me to start reading.
Um, you heard what I said, and I heard what you said back. But I did research on Twitter when it was Twitter years ago, so it could be taught on a university level at a class. It was a business class, right? And I discovered some things about us black folks and how we dominated Twitter, and that's what made me stay on it. I'm going to send you this because I want everybody to read it. This is the power that we have. How can we have this kind of power and still be serfs, Professor? Those are the dots I need for you to connect for me, and I'm going to leave it there. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. Like our sister Wani has said 100 times, and I've said a good bit. We have never been serfs. C. Freeman L. said, basically, I'm paraphrasing C. Freeman L. while he was living. He said they're taking on our identity and telling you that you're them, and vice versa. So basically, it's just an ideology. We have been identified. It's an attack. It's a cultural attack. We've been identified as the beyond serfs. I would say black is the peasant class. Fictitiously, is been identified as the peasant. Excuse me, the peasant class of the new world, which is a
And
fucking
they keep trying to label us like they said you guys are cowboys and we're cattlemen. You're a boy. And now everybody
right.
wants to be a cowboy. So they keep labeling us and we keep shining and then they want to be us after the shine.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of us. Like they'll put us in a category to disrespect us, and then we'll be like, okay, well we gonna shine in this motherfucker, and like Wani said, and then they'll be like, no, 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 well, no, 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 I'm the cowboy now. But back to your point, you said something really deep. No taxation. I don't know if you realize how deep it was. Um, what's a good way? The internet works both ways. We look stuff up. But guess what? The people, we'll put it this way, like Professor Chris Hedges said, Chris Hedges, the people who control the world. Let's get deep as hell right quick. The people who control the world. I don't even know how far to go with y'all. I teach two sections of constitutional law, and my students, we were looking. It's something real interesting. I'm gonna write a book on, so I'm gonna say that information for you guys. But um, it's who really controls the country is the question, right? Well, if you go back to the 13 colonies, ladies and gentlemen, look at that, refer back to the Jumbotron, to that triangle of feudalism. The 13 colonies, the top of the spear was under the direction of King James. You know, the one who who had the commission to write the Bible, King James, him, the one who had a boyfriend named Lord Buckingham, but I digress. Well, I gotta say this one more thing. The one who had his mama killed because she said something about Lord Buckingham, that one. Well, just a fact. But King James, listen to this shit. They don't tell you this. King James had his nobles come to the 13 colonies. Look at that second tier. George Washington, not George Washington, I'm sorry. Thomas Jefferson, Alexander Hamilton, who was mixed with African lineage, um, Benjamin Franklin. These were barons, basically. They were nobles. Um, and they ran the 13 colonies as nobles by proxy, like governors, right? Well, long story short, uh, I beg the question: who really runs this country? What's this country about? It's a real deep to that. We don't have time for that here. But anyway, uh, what my students concluded is that this country was, originally set up before it was a country for the elite class, right? Thomas Jefferson was an elite. Benjamin Franklin was an elite, right? And one of my students said, "Well, who really runs this country now?" And we watched the first part of the Trump inauguration, and you had all these elected officials and all these military people in their beautiful dress blues. And guess who was up exalted, standing behind Trump and the cabinet? I was looking at elites. I saw Elon Musk. I saw Mark Zuckerberg. One of my students said, "Why is Mark Zuckerberg up there?" And it just dawned on me what Professor Chris Hedges said. Professor Chris Hedges said the new elite class are the
Techno.
techno. Yes, ma'am. And Chris said they're opaque. Now, opaque means they can see you, but you can't see shit. You can't see nothing. So, what I was saying, no taxation, is you on Google typing in, uh, I want some, I'm just thinking of something. I want Air Jordans red Air Jordans, and you think you typing in, nobody seeing it. They see everything you typing, so it works both ways. You're getting information on information, and they getting information on you and collecting that shit. So to answer your question, if we were to abandon, yeah, Nikki, it's the way it is. You wonder how they know how to. It's the internet is an amazing tool of control because they know what we're thinking collectively. They know what we like. You think they not analyzing this data and finding out what we want to eat collectively, what we want to wear collectively? Come on now. So if we just shut that shit down and got off the internet, I think they would freak out because they wouldn't know how to control us.
The
Can
Africans
you?
freaked out.
Wani and them damn
The
Africans.
Africans freaked out when we left TikTok for 5 minutes. Where are the people we going to copy off of? Oh my God. Quiet.
If you
Oh
look at
shit.
that, but we laughing at it. But Wani is telling y'all this is a real fact. Man, go read what I posted over there when they said the AI. See, I didn't ask AI. Somebody else did. And that is what Professor just said. If you connect the dots and you understand nuances and stuff, and maybe you don't want everybody to know what kind of information you're trying to get in your personal home. See if somebody else got it and you can't snatch it from them. See what I'm saying? You got it. You have to, it is a tool and you have to master it. You have to master it. Otherwise, it's going to be your master. And you can tell by just by what Professor said. You see who was standing in the background. You see, man, they'll put two bullets to the head and won't think nothing of it. Come on now.
Yo, real quick, because I'm at work. Yo, Professor Nikki, Wani,
So,
Cynthia,
Hey.
what's going on? Hey, I sent
excuse
y'all
me,
the link.
excuse me,
I,
excuse me. So you have to understand that what Professor is telling you is something
Oh,
that is factual, and what Wani is saying is deeper than what we're laughing at. They're
oh.
watching everything, and it is their job to do so. And I'll leave it there.
Yeah, yeah, they get data down at Chris Hedges. I wish I could find the interview. He really did. He beat that shit down. He knocked it out the park. They gather data analytics on you. So if we're all let me put it this way. Let's say we a large percentage of us start. express an interest in a certain type of milkshake from McDonald's. Vanilla milkshake from McDonald's. Oh wow, 40% of black people like a vanilla milkshake from McDonald's. So then you could target that milkshake if you wanted to. You see what I'm saying? Gotcha. Anyway,
Yeah,
Cadillac Black, what's on your mind? Oh,
yeah,
were you done? No taxation.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that people understand that there's little things that Professor will say or Nikki will say or Nikki will ask the question to make it be said. You guys have to listen very carefully and intently to what they're saying because this conversation is very important. The delineation part is not just important for delineation and reparations purposes, but these people are trying to destroy us. And that's why you have to listen very carefully and listen to the nuances because a lot of things they cannot say. So you have to read between the lines. Please, people, pay attention and read between the lines. If you don't believe me, go see what kind of power we have on social media. I just gave you the information. And then match that with go to the Joint Economic Committee or Commission at 12 Republicans and 12 Democrats on both sides of the aisle during the Biden administration. They put out an economic report on Black America, the state of Black America, and we're at the very bottom of the economic ladder. And now you match those two and then listen to the professor and Wani talk about why we are here and let Nikki ask the questions. And I'm gonna leave it there, Professor.
Yeah, thank you. No taxation. We're gonna go. IGZ had to
yeah,
go. I think.
yeah. Just
Go
real
ahead.
quick. Yo, what's going on? Wani, remember that link I told you I was gonna send y'all? It's right there in the jumbotron for the twins from Kenya, Kenyan twins, the bullheaded ones.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, flipping back to no taxation's point, no taxation. That kind of we're gonna move on to the next speaker, but that concerns me. That issue concerns me because we've gotten real comfortable with talking on the internet and everything on the internet. Like nothing's private, everything is forever. So and everything is analyzed like down to the ninth degree. Like if they can if they got sound isolation on my iPhone where I can be in the gym working out. Y'all remember I was on my way from Memphis one time, maybe about 7 months ago. I got a Jeep. Jeeps are loud as hell. I had a Jeep. I took the top off it. I'm on the highway in Memphis, man. And they were like, Professor, we can't hear you. All we hear is wind. It's like a tornado. I turned on voice isolation and they didn't hear nobody heard wind anymore.
I didn't hear
If
your
that,
dog barking either.
right.
You
Now, if
said
you,
that your dog was barking.
yep. Now, if they can do that, what do you think they can do with your data? They can isolate it and allocate it however they want. This stuff is dangerous, and it needs to be respected. Uh, Go ahead, Cadillac Black.
Can y'all hear me?
I hear
Yep.
you, bro.
Long
Yeah.
time no hear. Long time no
Hey,
see.
hey, one, how you doing? How you doing, Professor?
What's up, brother?
Shout out to the family in the space. You touched on a few topics, man. I'm very intrigued. You said something about the bottom and the top, and we've been labeled like as the bottom cast. So they whatever. I kind of agree, but then at the same time, like I really can't disagree because I'm looking at it's like since 65, we've been voting for the Democrats and we haven't really received any benefits. The LGBT got more status, they got hate crime bills, they got all kind of stuff, and a whole lot of more groups. Y'all already know about it. So for us to just have the same mindset and keep going through the same thing over and over, and we just steady going for the same people as a majority. I know it's a minority of us who actually, went the other way and kind of caused an upset and an uproar. And now we being demonized. Luke got a space over there now. They scrape his own still Democrat shield time. But I'm glad that that happened because now they see that they're gonna have to take us a little bit more serious. And I know that if they fumble it, and Trump noticed too, if he fumble it, we gonna go on cross back over, just probably just start sitting it out like most of the people did who didn't vote for Kamala or who didn't want to vote for Trump. A lot of us sat it out. So that's even a vote against the Democrats, believe it or not. So for us to be on the bottom, I'm just glad that a lot of us are waking up. A lot of us are actually moving to, actually improve our conditions while the majority of us are still asleep and still, in our cocoons and really proud to be there. It's a lot of great topics y'all brought up. I had a lot more to say, but I kind of been a little bit busy and this and that. So I'm going to land my plane right there. But thanks for the
Just
space,
make
man.
a
I
note of
appreciate
it and you can say it later if you feel like talking,
it. Okay, I will.
if it comes back to you.
Oh yeah, and you come right back up.
All right, thank y'all.
Appreciate you. We're gonna go to Black Truth.
I'll yield the mic to the Black Receipt. He was up here for a while.
Okay, appreciate Black Truth as usual. The Black, holla at me. What's on your mind, man?
Yeah, I want to answer the question and the title first before I add to what we already talking about because it kind of go with it. Except the Cynthia Erivo part out of Lord Jesus. Uh, uh, but I'm gonna answer
He
that
sure
first.
is ugly.
Now, for real, I'm gonna answer that first. Can Cynthia Erivo portray FBAs? I think not, not at all. She don't have the spirit, the mojo, whatever you want to call it, the majora. She don't have the essence that we carry. Uh,
that's hey, the Black. That's funny as hell because that was my original title. That was my, I swear to Ask Wani and Nikki. That was my original title. It just was too long. It was what would it say? It said can
Majora.
Yeah,
yeah.
you
I
had
said
Majora spirit, and it wasn't enough space.
yeah. Cause she don't. She ooze. She look like she smoke Ozempic for a living. I I I don't want her representing none of my elders or none of the ancestors. Like no, she can continue to do cartoon characters and fuck up white people dreams.
And
But
she doesn't like Black Americans, so let's not forget that. She's on record, her and that woman, or whatever it is, Lovey. I don't know what they are, but they're on record as being hostile and calling us ethnic bigoted names, and they're not getting away with it,
it's
ever.
because she smoke Ozempic. You can't put it past them type of people. But why do illegals act paternal to FBAs? Honestly, I think it's the other way around. We we've been around these white people and battling them for so long. We don't kind of picked up some of their ways. Since the Americanization of the world trying to give off capitalism in our way of living has kind of pushed us towards a side of I ain't going to say a side. It's a fraction of people who has just went to the far extreme, like the Pan African people and the neoliberals, the people who want to save the world except save their community. Them the people I don't trust. If you speak about another place before you can speak about what's going on your street or in your community, then yeah, I knows you quick to cone out and sell us out for the next price. So I don't even try to deal with them type of people because I know you's an op at the beginning. And what you said earlier about these these Africans missing us because we was gone for 5 minutes off of TikTok and what no taxation said about us really controlling the algorithm and being the culture makers of everything. It just proves that we need to take over our own institutions when it comes down to this because it makes no sense that we can make stuff trend and when a white person does it, it becomes monetizable instead of knowing saying the person who originated it, which is usually a young FBA person who was just thinking of something fly or something out the wild and did it, and now they can't be praised for coming up with it. It has to be whitewashed a little bit so it can be cool to the general public because if everything is copied from black people, you know, you have your crazy neo KKK people who's going to call their kind mud sharks for copying black people, which we know they in the basement praising LeBron or, you know what I'm saying, one of some of our other great athletes. It just shows the irony of the American system. Use black folks for ideas, brain drain us, and monetize it. It blame Jews if you can't blame nobody else. It it's a unending cycle. But every time we break out the cycle, it trips up the whole global politics of everything because they are conformed and stuck on the idea of white and black, even though it may not even apply to their country within the laws. They just take our concepts and apply it to their thinking. But like the Britain people, they trip me out. Like they eat 10 crumpets like the rest of the British people, but they don't fight them as much as we do. But they want to claim some type of racism or prejudice when they don't shine like we shine. So I just find it ironic. And yeah, I'm glad that we delineating and trying to separate from these people and make them stand on their own and come up with their own ideas and their own type of style. Cause the brain drain of our communities has to stop. We have to keep our scholars, our athletes, uh, our general people just want to do everyday good shit and help the next generation. We got to keep them within our community,
Right.
and we have to understand that we do live in a capitalist country, so we
Mhm.
have to compete for them people. Unfortunately, because
That's right.
some people gonna wanna integrate and get the best dollar that they can receive, and we can't blame them for that because at the end of the day, they trying to provide for themselves and their family. But
All right.
we have to keep it enticing and have a make it a reason for people to stay within their communities. If not, we're gonna continue to be suffering and complaining and have and our power will continue to be scattered. But I land there.
Thank you so much. Black Truth United, you can go now.
Got it. Salute to the room. Salute Professor Allen. Salute Sister Nikki.
What's
Sister
up, brother?
Sister Wani. It's great to be here on stage with you. I'm gonna fight the temptation to comment about King James. You know, I've had my I've had my commentary before, but yeah, I'm gonna avoid that particular topic for now. Now I'm gonna address the two topics of the room as far as Cynthia Erivo first, and then I'll tackle the first one. So Cynthia Erivo cannot portray FBAs by any means. I remember I was one of the unfortunate souls who did watch. I kind of breezed through the movie. You know, I watched it on two speed and everything, but I breezed through the Harriet movie, and I mean, just full of bedwinchery, full of cooning, full of eyes bucking, just absolute nonsense stuff that the real Harriet Tubman would be ashamed of. I mean, she was definitely rolling in her grave over that movie. It was an absolute. It was almost like it was almost like a character attack. That's how I took it against Sister Harriet Tubman. That's how bad of a movie it was. I mean, that Harriet movie was trash. And so they've been using these non FBAs specifically to portray heroes of FBA society who will not have that same spirit as our FBA brothers and sisters. If you recall the movie, let's see, Judas and the Black Messiah. No, let me think. Is that the one with Fred Hampton?
I remember hearing. Yeah, I
I
remember
couldn't
hearing.
really
Yes.
vibe with that
Yeah,
movie.
that's because the main character who was supposed to be Fred Hampton was a non FBA individual, and the person who was the traitor was an FBA individual. So you see, these are psychological games that they play on our people. So you're seeing some non FBA as this hero and this upright guy who's standing up for the community, and then you see an FBA person scheming behind the scenes, tearing them down. That psychologically works on your mind, and it degrades your vision and your perspective on your own people. But anyway, yeah, and there was a whole thread. I don't know if you all saw it with Cynthia Erivo talking about more soul than Cynthia Erivo. Did you all see that?
Yes.
I missed
Yes.
That was
that.
We all
hilarious.
participated.
Yeah, everyone has more soul than Cynthia Erivo. I mean, they were pulling out all kinds of things. But yeah, she does not have that soul. She doesn't have our spirit, and it's clear. And actually, when after that Harriet movie, we came to find out that she was in a relationship with a white man, and then it turned into I think it's is it a I don't know if it's a white.
It's a black thing that she's dating now.
She'll do
Okay,
anything to appeal to the right horrible group.
yeah, yeah. So now it's an LGBTQ thing, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first question of the room, why do illegals act paternal? I'm guessing you're referring to like African illegals, people who are from the quote unquote motherland.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if they want to act paternal, let's just say that to call them deadbeat dads would be an understatement. I mean, we're talking about criminally negligent paternal instincts. I mean, these are people who sold us to be SA'd, who sold us to be perpetual slaves. They thought that this would break us. They thought that this would make us perpetually subservient, and it would just break our spirits. We would be killed or sold off or just downtrodden and forever, living in squalor. But instead, we rose to great heights. So yeah, so if I don't know why they have the audacity to act paternal, because that would only be a that would only be kind of like a slight at their lack of lack of help, for their quote unquote children. But anyway, I'll land there.
When I s- when it, when I think of this the word paternal with them, I keep thinking of them trying to force us to be African, to say that we're
Mm-hmm.
African.
As though they have some authority to speak. They're not the root of anything. They left the roots of Africa to go over to West Africa. So how are they the roots of us? We had to form a whole new tree because of their abuses. So no, they're not the roots of us, and that's why we don't reflect what they're doing over there. We have a whole new thing over here.
Yeah, no cap. Mickey, what's on your mind?
Question: what would happen? Like, all right, we're supposedly the bottom caste, right? So, what happens if like everything's basically built off our backs? So, say hypothetically, we all 50 million of us, we all just bounce. What does the landscape of America look like then? Because you know
Canada.
the Indians are all established. The whites are established financially. Who else? The Hispanics, they're finance. I mean, they're established
No, they're
financially.
not. They're not established.
Like, does someone else become the bottom class? Like, or do they pick like a new person
We're
to try
not on.
to
The
oppress?
problem is we're not on the bottom. That's why it's very confusing. We're not on the bottom. They want us to be on the bottom, and we are on the bottom on certain statistics. But we know how statistics work. So we're not on the bottom. And that's what throws a wrench into this whole plan. We've never cooperated with the global caste system, just like Russia. Russia won't bow down to Europe like they want them to. They're just a loose cannon and might even nuke them if they say the wrong thing. So we're not on the bottom. And we're definitely not on the bottom socially. If we're on the bottom, then why do we have Arabs, Latinos, Hebrew speakers, and all of these people asking, well, what do you think about? Well, which side are you on? Or you're supposed to advocate. Why would people on the bottom have a voice to advocate for any of these weirdos?
Nah, what I'm basically
Obviously, we're
saying,
not on the bottom, or else they wouldn't be asking us to advocate for them.
not what I'm asking, like, what would the landscape of America look like? Like, would they find someone else to oppress, like another
They already
ethnic
do
group?
oppress them.
That's
Just
a
wait till COVID comes around. They'll be oppressing harder on Asians. When somebody does a terrorist attack, they'll be oppressing harder on anyone that looks Arab. So they already do. They already are oppressing them. They are oppressed.
that's a good question. What you have to keep in mind is uh, we created whites before somebody's thing is kind of loud. Yeah, we created the concept of white. The concept of white was created in diametric opposition to us. So, what would happen, in my opinion, if we let's just say I snap my fingers like Thanos and all Black Americans just disappeared, um, Europeans would go back to square one. They'll fight each other. What you have to? What did Bobby Hemmings say? You'll know the. I love this saying. You'll know the end when you know the beginning. You'll know the beginning when you know the end. Before we were in the equation, Europeans were killing each other. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what the fucking slave trade was about. They were selling us to try to get weapons to kill each other. So if we disappeared, they would just go back to the, like what Yo Gotti said, they go back to the basics and start killing each other.
Who's next? Queen?
Hey y'all, what's up? How y'all doing tonight?
Hey, hey.
So this is gonna be off topic. I just wanted to give y'all a little bit of information to keep in your back pocket. So if everything goes like to plan with Trump, like sending out of illegals home, what's gonna happen is like a vacuum, especially in the financial sector, because when Biden was in office, he let a lot of these people get homes. They could get home loans, being illegals. They could get cars, things like that. So what's essentially going to happen is if they all leave, then nobody's going to be there to pay mortgages or pay car notes or anything like that. So what I'm advising all of the Black people like FBA like us, go ahead, like get your credit straight, get your money together, because it's gonna be houses and things like that for sale. And I'm thinking that this is the year that the stock market is probably gonna crash. I know the guy that predicted the first crash with the housing industry. I think that was back in what 2007, 8. Um, yeah, that guy, I think he's predicting, for everything to crash um this spring. So you guys just, keep your heads up and like I said, save your money, get your credit, and everybody should be able to get something by the springtime. And I'm gonna land with that.
I appreciate it. Agent Zero, what's on your mind?
Hey, how y'all doing? What's going on, Professor? What's up, Nikki? What's up, Wani? As far as the part of the topic anyway, can Cynthia Erivo portray FBAs? As far as that whole thing goes, I started to kind of notice too, like the stuff that you know how they had the Harriet Tubman in some kind of weird love triangle with the overseer dude. So I started to look up like who is writing this shit. Excuse my language, but I think that movie and I think the movie The Woman King, I think both of those was wrote by like some white people. Um, I don't hear enough about us, and as far as us we go, I don't hear enough about enough from us saying like what's going on with that. Like why are they getting others to write our shit? And I
I
land right
agree.
there.
And they did complain about that little
Yep.
storyline
Mm,
originally.
mm.
Yeah, it's so
It's
bad.
intentional.
It's so bad. It's to the point now where whenever I see anything about us coming to a theater or on Netflix or whatever, I don't even watch it. If I don't know about it
Hmm.
already, I just rather go research it myself.
That's what I do. I don't like the portrayals, and I haven't liked them for years, for decades. And if I want to know about the character, I will just, look at a legitimate documentary. They wanted to make the white man some kind of hero or whatever, they got to do that. And so that's just not the way it was. Harriet Tubman was the hero. She was the nurse, she was a spy, she was helping, she was an auxiliary in the Civil War, she was everything. She helped people escape. She's part of the people that, and this is something we should cover as well, the fact that we had people of free people of color, they never abandoned Black Americans in bondage. They fought for them the whole time. If it was running an underground railroad, if it was writing about it, like Frederick Douglass, advocating, we had a lot of um, abolitionists organizing. And so people like my great grandfather got out of the Civil War and married into a family of people that had been free since 1799. Well, we should talk about the fact that there were free people of color and that they were very supportive of people that were enslaved.
Right. Another question. So I read somewhere, it's been a while ago, you have to forgive me, that a lot of the white abolitionists weren't what they portrayed themselves to be. Like, as far as say for instance, if they had a group of slaves come to where they're at and was hiding them out, that they would like raping the women and doing all kind of foul stuff. Maybe even making them do some forced labor before they leave. Is that true?
Possibly that kind of scenario is open to all that type of abuse. A lot of these churches were hiding people, and they would have illegal raids where people that were free were still being chased around up in the north. So some of these churches would hide people that were free, people that were not enslaved, but we had corrupt people that didn't honor your freedom papers. So yeah, they were subject to a lot of different abuses.
And so I guess that's why, me personally, I don't go. I won't set foot in no church that's attached to a denomination, because as far as I know, it was all denominations in America at some point used the Bible, or just outright said that we were evil, or we had no place in church, or we couldn't join them. So and I feel like even right now today, if that's true, I feel like even right now today, some of that is still in there somewhere as far as denominational churches go.
Well, I wrote a book, and where I extensively talked about how people, the Portuguese, pretended to be pastors. I have a whole section on Portuguese. They pretended to be pastors, left their wives, or not pastors. What do you call them in Catholic Church? Priest. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, to go get women. And what you said earlier made me think about the Quakers. The Quakers have some history of corruption with the slave trade. So, by the way, if y'all want to purchase my book, it's at I'll put the Cash App in the jumbotron. You just put $25 on my Cash App, and put your full address, and I'll mail you a copy, because I talked extensively about that.
And
I'll put it in there.
one more thing, and I land my plane. Um, I read that like 1,000 years before Europeans, and it's touching on what you were speaking on earlier, 1,000 years before Europeans had access to boats, or I'm guessing boats that could transverse the sea. That all they did to each other was rape, rob, steal, kill, and enslave each other. Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh wow! And
Yes,
I
it
land my plane.
is.
Yeah. If you want to know more about that, look up Lerone Bennett's The Shaping of Black America. He has very extensive articles with evidence about Europeans. I mean, the slave trade was so vicious towards Black Americans because the Europeans perfected that shit on themselves. They don't teach you that. They had a group of people in England and in Germany called spirits, And a spirit was somebody that came in the middle of the night and stole white children and sell them into slavery. Spirits were so dangerous at some point and so running so rampant that they had somebody would stand on look, and if they saw one, they would yell "spirits." Man,
Wow. I gotta
hell,
look that up.
it's wild shit, man. And matter of fact, in Lerone Bennett, Shaping the Black America, he shows that the fucking that story of Lucky Charms came from the white slave trade. They would tell in
What?
Ireland, hell yeah, in Ireland, they would the spirits would go around to drunk Irish men and Irish children and women, single mothers with children, and say, "I know of a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow, and if you ride the boat to this new land called America, you'll inherit a pot of gold."
Who
Hell
said
yeah.
that? What?
Lerone Bennett in
No,
Shaping the
I
Black.
mean this was about English people riding the boat.
No, no, the spirits, like the white slavers, they call them spirits. They would tell
I
they
mean,
would
what ethnicity were they?
they were white, and they would go to white people and tell them that story when they were
But
drunk.
I mean, ethnicity, not race.
Ethnic. Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. Like
English.
English, yeah,
Okay, great.
yeah. And Wani, it's gonna take some time. I got a picture of the page in my phone. I'll find it and send it to you.
Thanks.
The Black. What's on your mind?
Uh, I was gonna add to that that the original meaning of Shanghai was when they get people drunk and kidnap them and sell them into slavery. Also, kidnapping originated people kidnapping people, children, and selling them to America too. So that it's a funny correlation with all these linguistic terms and how they come together and include people getting sold and sent to America.
That's interesting. Shanghai, like high, you mean?
No, like Shanghai, like kind of like the town Shanghai in China. Ain't it a town or a little place called Shanghai?
Yeah. Got it. Got it. I thought you meant something else. I thought you meant that's why it was called. Interesting. Fire Nagy, what's on your mind?
Good afternoon, everybody. Wani, Professor Nikki the God. Um,
Hey, hey.
I don't want to limit the why do illegals act paternal to FBAs to just illegals. I think immigrants in general do it, and I think Black Americans have kind of like just dropped the ball on demanding and commanding respect. I think that when people say things to us, we allow it to slide, or we think we're being polite, or we think we're being like good, or African most Black Americans are good Christians, and I think that that's a bad thing to do because everybody always tries to reorder the social ranking, and we all know that the society is ranked and ordered. And I agree with what Wani said. We're not at the bottom. People just they perceive us to be, but really it's the immigrants and newcomers. I've had experiences with people where Africans would think I was at the bottom, and I would just undress them every time I got a chance to in front of a group of people and dared them to say something back. And when they saw that I didn't care, they stopped doing what they were doing and saying what they were saying to me because they realized that the white people who saw me doing it weren't going to support them and weren't going to back them because in backing that immigrant or backing that African, they cheapen their own American identity as well. So you can't cheapen ours and not cheapen yours. And I know there's a previous guy who basically said, "Hey, look, what would happen to America if Black Americans just some? I don't think America would exist. I think we're the mitochondria of this country. We're the heartbeat of the country. I think we're so many things to this society that if you just just if you snapped your fingers and Black Americans weren't there, you would not actually have America. I mean, you can take certain groups out of America. You can take all the Asians out. You can take all the Hispanics out. You can take all the newcomer Africans out, all the Caribbeans out. But if you take out the Black Americans, you've got to probably erase what 2/3 of your history. Let's consider this that there were things called the Three-Fifths Compromise, and I know you've talked about this, Professor. But there was also the Missouri-Kansas Act. There were laws that when the Confederacy was challenging the North, they said, "Hey, look, hold on. You cannot enter the Union unless a free state and a slave state enter the Union." People don't talk about that enough. We literally had laws that said, hey, a free state that doesn't allow slavery, can only enter if a slave state enters. The entire thing that Trump is talking about, birthright citizenship, is based on Black Americans. Okay, that's just the reality of it. Like, these people would not be immigration would not be an issue if you had never enslaved millions of our people and brought us here, because there would be no pull. There would always be jobs, but you wouldn't be necessarily be granted citizenship like that. Okay, people always scream about the Statue of Liberty. Oh, Lady Liberty, that was made to commemorate the end of slavery. Every law you write, equal protection of the law, these were made like the Civil Rights Acts. All these laws were made as Black protections, and then not only were they made, but we're not even talking about the state laws that were crafted by us on that level to make a society more just and more equitable. That's why so many people come here. So I don't actually think that's plausible. I mean, I know people might say, well, it said no, it's not really plausible, because not only would white people have to be at the bottom, but those groups that would be at the bottom would not want to immigrate here because they're now at the bottom. Well, I think they're at the bottom anyway, but they would now know they're at the bottom. The Indians wouldn't come here in large numbers. They don't go to Australia in large numbers. The Africans, they don't go anywhere in the Commonwealth, even though they were a part of the former British Empire. Where they come is here. Everybody comes here. I mean, you got people crying at the border because they can't come in here. Like, get away from us. And lastly, I want to address the whole issue of Africans cosplaying Black Americans in cinema. My issue is, if we have no culture, why are they allowed to pretend to be us? It's just so weird. I mean, they're the main ones screaming we have no culture, we don't know where we come from, but then they're the main ones wanting to portray us in popular media, cinema, art. Wait a minute, we have no culture. We don't know where we come from. Stop portraying us in all these movies. Stop portraying us as historical characters, as fictitious characters. Stop even dreaming about us. Okay, we should be a blank slate. When I think of a group that has no culture, I think of Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan. What are they known for? Nothing. I don't think about them. I don't envision Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan. I don't think about Romania. Okay, I just don't. So that's my main issue. Is like, you shouldn't be allowed to benefit from a group of people who you have a nasty attitude toward, who you have a terrible disposition toward. Africans should be able to make their own works of fiction, and being that they have culture and history, should be able to write movies and books depicting their culture and history, and it should be so great that the world should want to read it and look at it. And with that, I land my plane.
No
Well,
cap.
Fire Nagy, when if you ever if you ever go to get your hair braided at an African salon, because I have in the past, I don't anymore. They have these Nigerian movies that will tell you what their culture is. It's just stupid comedy. There's no
I
culture to
can't hear
their.
you sometimes.
I'm sorry, that's my headpiece. I was saying, if you ever go to one of those hair braiding places, and I don't go to those anymore, but they're like Nigerian or African braiding places in the United States, they are always playing their African movies. And that tells you what their African movie culture is. It's nothing. It's just stupid comedy, and it's just fake scenarios. It's nothing,
No
nothing
depth.
to brag about. No depth at all. So that's what they have. That's why they need to copy off of us. And then they come over here and then they pretend like they are this elite culture, and that their children need to be aware of us, just to stay away from us. But actually, every bit of what they learned about how to have style and how to have any type of grace, they learned from us, and now they're using it against us and acting like they're better than us or something. So I wouldn't worry about them. That's all.
Yeah, yeah. It's real interesting. It's real interesting. But it's something Fire Nagy said that I wanted to comment on. I kind of got lost in the sauce. It was the importance of that bottom class.
Okay, I got it. So I was watching with my students today. We were watching. We just watched a brief inauguration because I wanted them to kind of. I didn't say it, but I wanted them to see the elites standing in the background. And somebody, I wasn't gonna say it, but one of them said it. Well, I saw Vivek Ramaswamy, or however you say his name back there, and I thought about. I was kind of shocked. I was like, "Why is Vivek standing back there with Mark Zuckerberg?" Um, and it was like, "Oh, okay." I thought about Vivek, how he came for. If you remember, he came for black women, and he came for black culture. Maybe 8 months ago or something. It pissed a lot of people off. And I was thinking to myself, he came for black culture to prove himself to the dominant society, to let them know. It's like a signaling thing to let them know that he acknowledged the hierarchy. So the hierarchy is set in stone, it's been set in motion. One of these days, when I'm done writing a book, I'm writing a book on the Constitution. It's been taking forever, taking a couple years. I write a little bit at a time and get burned out and put it down. But when you really understand the Constitution like I do, and like Dr. Claude Anderson has elaborated on, you understand it. It's a lot of gamesmanship in that Constitution, ladies and gentlemen. And unfortunately, I don't think it's any lies in the Constitution. It's just we don't understand it like it's meant to be understood. But that's a whole nother discussion. Roger, where you at? Go ahead, Roger Ward.
What's going on, Professor? How you doing?
Yes, sir. Doing good. Good to see you, man.
Good stuff. Good stuff. What's going on, Wani? What's going on, Nikki? Uh, to answer the question to the room, can Cynthia, portray FBAs? I don't think so. Just simply because there's a certain spiritual essence that we have in general, and whatever form of media that we, choose to display that on, it's just something that we have in us that just can't be emulated. And they try so hard. They'll get any melanated face to try to replace us and replace our essence, but it just doesn't, smooth over well with us, and because we just can't relate to these people because we don't have the same experiences. And you even see that in the sports world too, especially in the NBA. For my sports heads, like they really try to make this push for international players like Nikola Jokic or like Luka Doncic or Shea Gilgeous Alexander, who's from Canada. And while these players are very skilled, and I'm not taking anything away from their skills, they're very skilled players, but marketing wise, they just can't get over the hump over a LeBron James or a Steph Curry or any of our FBA superstars, simply because we just bring something different to the game that you just can't teach. Um, and that's just our style. That's just how we play the
Majara
game.
Spirit.
Yeah, like we we have that in every aspect of whatever the movie is, whatever the game is, the sport, anything entertainment wise. You just can't um, duplicate that spirit. And I just feel like they just try so hard to do that. And I think that's why a lot of the ratings are down, movie sales are down, because almost every show on Netflix is someone from an immigrant background. There's hardly any FBAs in any of the shows on Netflix or any streaming services. And that's why I just really don't watch a lot of the stuff, like how Wani was talking about earlier. I'll even research the main characters, and 9 times out of 10, they're from the UK or somewhere in Africa or just whatever. And it's just like the show just doesn't have that spiritual essence, like it's missing depth, like Nikki was talking about. And it's just hard to watch those things because there's nothing to it. Like they act great, like don't get me wrong, they're great actors, but it's just something missing. You know what I'm saying? Like you just can't. I just can't really get into them. So that was, just kind of my response to the question. So I'll land right there.
No, remember the show From, Professor? I did watch it.
Oh, wasn't that bomb?
And I was, like I said, yeah, I liked it. It was good. But I was cautious about who I was watching. So the lead character appears to be Black American, but the guy, Elgin, he had to write on his bio that he's from the Underground Railroad, but in Canada. So he wanted to get that out there. He wanted to get ahead of the game because he knows all these Nova Scotians from that Underground Railroad are speaking up hard. And so when I looked at him, he looked like a goofball, and I said, let me look him up. And he had that background, which I don't know. I don't know if he's really Nova Scotian like that. And then the other one that was the bus driving mammy, she was definitely foreign. I don't know why they keep barraging us with people from Canada. Even white people from Canada keep coming down here um, to get into what we're doing. I don't know why they think this is like, why don't you make something up there? What is wrong with these people? They're sitting there. There's no such thing as a Canadian music genre. There's no such thing as a UK music genre, and there's no such thing as an Australian music genre. What are they doing with themselves? Just waiting to see what we do and copy it? And that includes white people and the people of African descent, just sitting there waiting, not doing or developing anything. So when somebody said, what would this country be like without Black Americans? Well, it would be an open field with white people standing around trying to figure out who to enslave because they came over here. They determined that the natives that they ran into were perfect to enslave. They didn't know about weapons. They were docile. They were friendly, so therefore stupid and easy to manipulate. They justified it by when they ran into like the Mayan culture and they saw all of the human sacrifice, very, very violent sacrifices. And we don't really know what was going on there, but apparently they said that they were devil work. I mean, they said these are all works of the devil. They saw those big buildings and structures and they said this has to be made by the devil. They never saw anything like that. So they justified them being enslaved, but unfortunately, their disease killed 90% of these people and weakened the rest. So they were not making very good slaves if they were in such a weak state and beaten and attacked and on every level. So then all the missionaries got together and decided, hey, let's try this African thing since they're already selling people in the trans-Saharan slave trade. Let's go get some Africans. And then the need was so hard um, that it turned into the transatlantic slave trade. So it would be an open field. There would be no agricultural gold. We created agricultural gold here that they did not have. That justified the cities being built. That justified the port to export these things. That justified the train being built, which we did all of those things. So the country would simply not exist at all. It just wouldn't exist.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, like when Tariq said foundational Black American, he wasn't being facetious. That's true. Like we built the foundation for this country. I could sit up here and read scholarship from various people to prove that we built this country. You know?
No,
It's,
yeah, it was definitely not built by any of the people that are babbling because they weren't here. It's simply just they didn't exist. And we already know what white people here did. The first thing they did was try to get somebody else over here to do the work. So we know who was here and we know what they did to get someone to do the work. And these other people, Indians and Arabs, they weren't involved. They came along later after these things were already. These people are Johnny come latelys, grass is greener on the other side people. They saw something, they were opportunists. They felt that they could have a better life here, and they didn't improve where they came from.
But I'll say this, Ronnie. Real,
If you
oh,
no
really
cap.
wait just a minute, I'm sorry, I apologize. I just wanted to let you know that if you really want to know about who built America, go and check out the Professor and Wani when they were talking about who built the railroads. That will give you all the proof that you need. You won't need anything else. But go ahead, Fire Nagy, and then after that, Mr.
I just
S.
wanted to say this to Wani's point real fast. You said people aren't doing anything, and I agree, but they're not doing anything because the force of our culture smothers theirs out. I mean, there's just no shame in us having the superior culture and everybody else not having a great culture to live up to it. There's no shame in like not being able to emulate blues, jazz, R&B, hip hop. Heck, I mean, in the '80s they were tap dancing. I remember that as a kid. Like, who thought of this? I mean, and so I just said, to the room, there's no shame in the fact that we have such a strong culture, strong identity, strong sense of presence that nobody else can produce or replicate anything close to it. I mean, they know that if they produce something, it's not going to be palatable. That's why TikTok went completely dead when we left, and they said the Americans are gone. No, they meant the Black Americans are gone. That's what they really wanted to say.
I remember when I first got on social media, I was drug kicking and screaming onto the travel spaces on Instagram, and I met a whole lot of Black Americans. And one of the things they would do is say, "Look at this picture that I posted, and now look at this picture." Now, one of the ones that was really something was this guy was skydiving in a cow outfit. Yeah, he was wearing a cow costume, and a white girl later, she was skydiving in a cow outfit. A coincidence or copy?
No, they make me so sick. They make me
I
sick.
mean, they were showing me, they're like, look at this picture of me standing at this in the blue city in Morocco. And now look at this one. Same identical pose, same identical colors. The guy had on it's like a blue city in Morocco, and it has a very vivid blue color. It even has its own name for the color blue. And he wore a yellow suit in the picture. And some other person, no, I'm not gonna name names, wore the same yellow suit. Even it was a skinny suit too. It's like the same type of suit. Couldn't even wear a zoot suit. Um, so it's everything. Another guy took a picture of him standing on a safari jeep in a particular way, in a particular way. Boom, he pulled out a picture of a white boy standing on the same type of Jeep on in the same particular way. And they just had dozens and dozens and dozens. Look at the abuse. And then those people had all the deals. They had all the sponsorships, they had everything, and of course the Black creators were ignored. So yeah, they're mad because there's nothing to steal from. If we disappeared, these people have no intellectual property. They just steal other people's property and place it on their sites where they have bigger audiences because there's more of them online. They have been using that to cheat us out of our creativity for years. They have bigger audiences that bought music here in America. And so they just said, oh, we'll just take your music genre, and have Elvis sing it his way to us, and we'll buy it and then make him a star, and we'll ignore your stuff and make you marginalize you in your own music genre, and then make you beg for an award at the award show that's all about your music genres. These people don't even have a music, literally don't have a music genre.
Yeah, we created
Class-
country music.
all of it. Classical music is not a UK music style. That is a basically a Greek style of music. If we're being serious, that comes from Greek
Bluegrass too.
people. Comes
Blue
from Greek people.
bluegrass. No,
Which means
we created
Etruscan.
bluegrass.
Right. I mean, I don't even have to go there. All I have to say, I don't have to go into the ethnicities of what Greek people are in this room, but I can show you pictures and sculptures of what Greek people looked like. And I can show you their lineages and where they came from. But we don't even have to do that. All we have to do is say, basically, without Greek people going to Egypt to get those scales, they wouldn't have had classical music. So Greek people are responsible for classical music ultimately. And that doesn't have anything to do with the UK. What does that have to do with people in the UK? So basically, none of these other Europeans have come up with any kind of relevant music. They
Preach.
have one thing that I do like is that step dancing. I like step dancing. It's creative. But that's basically it. I don't see that much coming from them in the way of dancing. And furthermore, a lot of their traditional dances have never changed. The Russians are still doing their dance. All of these people, the Asians, still have their traditional dances and music, and it's been like that for years. They have the belly dancer music. They have never modernized their music. All they have done is just hear what we're doing and leapfrog onto that. Hey, Greek hip hop, Balkan hip hop, just places you don't even have never even heard about. Inuit jazz, just wildly crazy things. People you don't even know are looking at you. People you don't even know would even acknowledge you have copied off of your creations. And that's something that I'm going to flex on. I'm never going to stop talking about that because it's crazy. I could Google any country on this planet. Finland hip hop. It doesn't matter what country I name. I would have to go off planet to not find us being copied. They even send our music up into outer space, so I can't even go off planet.
This pisses me off. I am in a mood hearing this now, even though I hear it all the time. This is pissing me off so bad. I'm like, where can we go? How can we delineate even further? How can we put up a wall between ourselves and them so they have nothing to copy off of? So everyone can see how they have zero depth. They have nothing. They have no imagination at all.
None. What's going on, Mr. X?
Peace to the panel, peace to the room. Um, just wanted to answer the questions y'all had in the title. Why do illegals act paternal to FBAs? I think it's a combination of things. I think first and foremost is the propaganda that they see while they're in their uh, disparate countries wishing to come to America. Oftentimes, they see they see us as the caricatures that the the white industry likes to put out there, and they think that that is the totality of us as a people. So that often um, gives them um, it gives them the impression that we're just some low class criminal bums, And then the second part on top of that is when they get over here, and then they're intentionally given resources as soon as they get over here, on top of already having, like you said, connections back at home to set up their businesses and what you have you. Um, Regardless of the fact that us, we're literally like some of us two, some of us three generations like removed from Jim Crow. Like I literally see people who grew up in Jim Crow like daily, you know. Um, so what was it? The media, then they come over here, getting benefits, and then the third thing is their mentality, right? They don't have the mentality of coming and fighting for their dignity, for their freedom. They don't come looking to combat white supremacy. Come looking to assimilate and to submit. And that just tells their mentality, because what I'm saying, you left your whole family, everything behind to come here. Um, and that'll tell you that they'll do anything in order to achieve what they would call success, which is really money, which is not. Um, you can argue that that's definitely not all that success is. Um, but yeah, and you see it daily. Like for example, Cynthia Erivo, she's basically, kissing ass, LGBT. Like she's doing all of the. She's basically like a white liberal in blackface, which is why like she doesn't even resonate with us because like when a FBA plays those roles, it's like it's our culture. Like we have lived this. Like it's in our DNA, right? So when these roles come up in these movies, we can connect them on with them on a much deeper level. Like it goes further than just um reading lines on a page. Like it's coming from within us. Whereas somebody like Cynthia Erivo, she has no connection to the slave trade at all, spiritually or emotionally. That's literally it's literally no different than a white person, putting on black makeup and acting out Harriet Tubman. Um, and that's like I'm starting to look at Africans as basically melanated white people, pretty much. Like they'll come over here, um, they'll get these resources, and they'll do these things to get in good graces with white supremacy, i.e., bend the knee or sell out in order to get ahead, and then turn around and look at us because we aren't willing to do the same thing. So I think it's a combination of uh, propaganda, um, the resources, and then a different mentality. Um, and yeah, I think I answered both questions.
Yeah, they come over here telling us what to do as though they've done something in their countries to be proud of. I mean, people say that the missionaries tell them to stay away from Black Americans. People say that other people ushering them unwittingly into the country are telling them to stay away from us. So let me get this straight. People with recent cannibal stories and videos of people walking around with human legs, eating them and dipping them into bread, while a whole group of people looks and never even blinks an eye, those are the people that are being told to stay away from us. People that have hatchets all over children, hundreds and hundreds. I have videos of where they just hatcheted up a bunch of children. People coming from that environment are being told to stay away from us. People that are wielding the hatchet or people that have had hatchets wielded at them are being told that we are a problem. People that marry 9-year-olds are being told that we're a problem. People whose passports are banned because they are collectively a menace that you don't want in your country are being told to avoid us. People who are monitored by Interpol for global prostitution, 400 and some odd scams, trafficking children and women, selling drugs, and being general global gangsters are being told to stay away from us. Let me get that straight. We don't even have any organized crime. We don't have organized crime. We have pockets of crime. We have never moved over to another country and formed a gang. We don't have banned passports. Interpol doesn't even know our names. We're not even monitored. We don't go over to other countries and open up prostitution rings or scam the citizens of the other country or beg for asylum or beg for or any kind of resource. We don't go over to these other countries selling drugs. We don't have drugs to sell. We don't grow drugs. We don't come from countries that have that type of product. And we don't go over to other countries like Somalis came here and formed 7 different gangs. They're over in the UK with different types of African gangs, different types of Pakistani gangs, different types of other Asian gangs. Our passports aren't banned. We don't marry 9-year-olds. That's against the law where we come from. We do not have any genocides to our name. We've been the victims of genocide. So how, and we are not cannibals. That's not in any soul food cookbook I've ever seen. You will not see some guy in Chicago walking around with a leg, dipping it in some bread. So Who is being told to stay away? If anybody should be told to stay away from someone, it should be us being told to stay away from them. But oh no, we didn't do that because we've been spending the whole time, hundreds of years, rehabilitating all those things I just read off, denying them, saying they're not true, making up a fake backstory for Africans when they really were doing all those things. And we have been the ones running around saying, oh no, they don't do that. The white boy told them to marry 9-year-olds. Nope. The white boy told them to be gay. Nope. There's a whole gay tribe. The white boy tricked them into eating human legs. Nope. They eat human legs. Everybody does that. That's a global phenomenon. Being a cannibal is something that everybody does. Why? I don't know. You have to ask them. I don't know why everybody on every continent except Antarctica did it. They may have done it there before it got cold. Um, I mean, there's really nothing to say. We're not doing these things. We're not to be avoided, but they certainly are to be avoided, especially if they're taking that position. I don't see any benefit to aligning with people that are into all these things and trying to accuse us of doing these types of things.
I also think that that whole conscious movement that we used to have, I think that kind of plays a part in it too. Cause like we kind of thought about that. We kind of thought that like about ourselves. Like we always talked about how great Africa was.
Hmm.
And
We bigged Africa
yeah,
up. That's what
and
we
I
did. And some people are still running around talking about that's us. It's not us. I mean, that's like a Native American saying that Chinese people are them. They're Asian, but they're not Chinese. It's a whole nother thing.
and
So let's go on to African American men's historical. We haven't heard from him. Yeah, I mean, I think you guys are making good points. I feel like ultimately we're gonna have to go back to some form of segregation, to really get these people up off of us, right? It's the leeching and kind of exploitation of us isn't going to end until we really start to kind of move as a group and do some real world physical gatekeeping. Because with the DEI initiatives and all this stuff, what this really is an attempt to try to turn us into a permanent underclass, right? Keep us out of Okay. jobs. Well, And then we're not the beneficiaries of DEI. Why would 3% of black, well, they say black, that could be any kind of black. We're only benefiting on these programs, only 3% of the people benefiting are black. These And yeah, these programs aren't helping us. These are just more controlled opposition. We'll make this program and then we'll put white men in dresses in these positions. yeah, but I think that like we're not benefiting a lot from it, but the little bit we are, that's still too much for the white supremacists, right? Like Well, what about all the white women that can't benefit and all the LGBTQ? What about them? They're the ones being hurt the most by it not existing. yeah, but I don't know. To me, it feels like they're willing to make them go through some pain just to try to get at that. It feels like it, but it's just not factually true. It feels like it because we have convinced ourselves that we need DEI programs when most of us just get jobs the regular way. I've never gotten a job because of affirmative action or DEI, and I don't really know anybody who did. It's just not a thing. It's just a crutch. It's a crutch. It's a crutch that everybody else is using, and we haven't used it or benefited from it. Yeah, yeah. I For the most part, yeah, I agree. Yeah, yeah. Okay, Tyrone, did you want to say something? Nothing but a G thing. Did you want to say something?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yo, yo,
Oh,
yo, what's good? What's good? What's good? What's shaking everybody? How y'all doing today, man? Okay, okay. I see y'all doing great. I'm glad to hear y'all, Professor. I'm glad to
Peace.
hear you, Wani, on the
Peace.
spot. Peace, peace. Yeah, man. So I just want to say, keep up the great work. Somebody tried to take me out, but God is good. And I hope y'all enjoy y'all night and be safe out here. Okay, on these Twitter streets. Other than that, you have a good day, y'all.
Nothing but a G thing. Did you want to say something?
Oh yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
To the professor. Do you know the name of that movie I mean that video they showing immigrants? Because I think that can be the template to show people this is why we are delineating.
You talking about the that my colleague in New York had?
Yeah, we said something about the
I
Turkish
man,
shit.
I've tried to look for it. I know what it was from the naturalization office. It was just a little DVD. Um, I'm gonna text him
Okay.
and ask him I still got his number. I'm gonna text him and ask him does he still have. I buy it from him,
But
and
I'll
I
land
keep
my
you posted.
I'm gonna land my plane right on.
Yeah, I keep you posted. Yeah, and it's really slick how they do it because it's plausible deniability in there. They can easily say, "Well, we didn't mean it that way," but yeah, you did. There's a book by Robert Greene called The Laws of Seduction. Actually, a pretty fucking good book. It sounds sexual, but if moreover, it's really about anything. And suggest Robert Greene says seduction is all about unspoken, like the unspoken. It's like suggestivity, like having a way to deny some shit, like bumping into somebody and saying, "Oh, I'm sorry," you know, do I know you? you know, you know, you just bumped into me to get my attention. No, I didn't. I wasn't paying attention. That's seduction. And in that response, in that respect, that video was seductive. It had some young men doing something they weren't supposed to do. Oh, by the way, they're black. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I digress.
Yeah, and the other thing that just reminded me of how they keep playing games with these immigrants' backgrounds. Like they'll just show the face and they don't want to talk about the name of the criminal. And then they'll put up the English last names of the criminal. And then we have to look them up. And then we see all these foreign names blended in with their name. And then, of course, the media. That's another area that we have to really address, forcing the media to do background checks on these people. It's happening pretty good because of the immigration issue and the deportation. They're willingly, talking about people's backgrounds, but we still need them to do that because you're not going to just throw up some brown person's picture that's doing something that we don't do. We already know our modus operandi. We know what type of criminal behavior we engage in. And it's really not some of the things that these other people are doing, like raping a woman on the Philadelphia L in front of everybody. We know that's not, we know that's not something that we would do. It turns out it's somebody from the Congo that, I guess that's how they operate over there. They just have sex with people that don't want to have sex with them on public transportation. So they don't have any kind of thing about rape or a thing about enslaving people. They just violate. They just see something they want and they violate it. And that's where they are in terms of development. We know what we do, and we can see these other crimes do not fit in with what we normally do. And then the media works in concert to try to hide it and blend everybody into a flat blackness. And I'm just not going to stand for it anymore. And neither is everybody in our circle. We're not going for that anymore.
Yeah, this is very true. Um, let's shift gears a bit to Cynthia Revo. Why do we think that Hollywood is starting to cast? Um, I've noticed an influx of African actors and actresses. Why do we think they doing that? Is it a money thing? Do you think that they don't ask for the same money that our actors and actresses ask for? What do we think about that?
Well, they have been over. I used to watch a lot of BBC programming because it was good. And they just have very high quality stories. And I like stories more than the characters don't have to be black for me to watch it. I just like the story. I don't care who's portraying it. I watch a lot of films with subtitles and whatever just because of the storyline. But they've been over in the UK plastering their face on places where they shouldn't be, casting themselves all over the place. Like in 1800, well, they what they want you to believe is that, somebody in the 1700s was best friends with some African person, and we know that's not true. We know the relationships that they had in the 17 and the 1800s. People were servants. Like they had an Indian actor. He was on there as a servant to somebody because they wanted to use an Indian person. That's conceivable, but the way that they're portrayed is laughable. And they can't just be in modern productions like normal people. No, no, they have to be best friends with the Queen of England or something stupid. So they have been over there destroying these people's entertainment with these nonsensical pairings. And then, of course, they had to play Romeo and Juliet. They had to make Juliet some big boxy broad. Um, they just been destroying everything, playing characters that we know are European descent, playing the queen, just doing anything, being a nuisance to anything that anyone is trying to do. And then they just took it on the road. They got tired and probably ran out of things to violate in the UK, so they decided we'll just come over to the United States and plaster our face all over their heroes, all over their legends. And then we'll use the excuse that we're classically trained and they're not. So we're better actors than them. Then they use the excuse that,
Wani, I really think that's it. I think it's these British, arrogant British ass actors and
yeah,
actresses say, you know what? I want to play a 54-year-old lesbian out of Chicago and see how that does. It's like an
they're
arrogance thing.
then when we called them on it, they said that they need to play our roles because we're too emotional about it. Really? Isn't
Oh
that what
my.
acting is? Showing emotion. Oh no, you're too emotional about playing a slave. So let us play a slave for you because you can't handle it. Oh, I think we can. Then they shifted to um, the notion that they were getting paid less. I don't know anything about what they're paid. Yeah, they're paid less. So there's a lot. And then we have our own people that are complicit, that are trying to use them, that are trying to globalize everything. Now, who was talking about the globalization of basketball? Because when I look at um, I don't look at basketball as hard as I did before, but they just come off as no better than a European player from what I see. They're not, they're just like a good European player, or either they're like clowny, like Manute Bol, not an athletic person, just somebody that's up there where the basketball hoop is, and they're just going to stand there and put it in. I don't want to see that anymore. That's not athletic. That's just a tall guy standing next to the hoop. Okay, go ahead, Soheen. How you guys doing tonight? Hey, It's been a while, Professor.
Hey,
What's
what's
up?
going on, bro?
What's
Chilling.
up, Nikki? Um, so just two quick things. I can't talk that loud because I got a baby here. But um, so about the UK actors or actors playing FBA roles or being swapped out for FBAs. I think it's by design personally. I think that they're just I, I don't think it's a matter of pay because there's so many talented, up and coming FBA actors and actresses that just want an opportunity. They don't even need, you know, huge sums of money, you know, just coming in the game, just coming in the industry. They just want a good opportunity, you know. So I don't think it has anything to do with money. I just think it's by design. I think they do it to kind of spite us. They do it to just kind of just because we can, you know. We're Hollywood and we say so. You know, I'm white and I say so. I'm the Jewish director and I say so. I'm the you know the LGBT director and I say so. You know, whatever the case may be, I just think they just do it just to spite us. I think it's that. I think it's really that simple. I think this is the same reason we miss out on a lot of different opportunities, to be honest, and why we have for so many years is the same reason why they did what was it called, redlining, when they wouldn't give homes, or the bank wouldn't allow FBAs to get grants or loans to go and buy homes. It's all kind of the same reasons, you know, just because it's us. Um, so, and I think that's going to continue to happen. I mean, you look at a show like Snowfall. What I think is so interesting is it's really a spit in the face to us to a degree because you have a guy like Damson Idris, I want to say that's his name, that played Franklin Saint on Snowfall, who was depicting FBA, you know, legendary drug dealer, Freeway Ricky Ross, who was FBA. And you have somebody like Idris Elba, who was in The Wire. I didn't see The Wire, but you know that show took place in Baltimore, a very heavily populated FBA city. And when you watch people like Damson Idris or Idris Elba in in The Wire, I got to give it to them. You can't really hear the UK in their voice, and so once they open their mouth in real life and do an interview and they start talking like a character off Harry Potter, and you like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's almost, it's kind of scary how, yeah, like we always talk about, we know a tether when we see one, we know a tether by the way they move and etc. But I think it's very scary, to be honest, on how well they cosplay as us. You know, I guess that's why they get paid the big bucks. But it's just scary on how, like, is our culture that easy to copy? Is the way we speak that easy to emulate? That's what's, Well, you know, no, they're that desperate to copy it. And the right, only reason Idris Elba has been successful is because he's not just from one tribe. He's like an amalgamated African. And so he he doesn't have that tribe face look that, right. messes up the other ones. And that's one of the reasons that some of these other people have been able to do it because they're not just Yoruba. The moment that they start being admixed with other tribes, they start to look better and they start to, of course, it helps that they come from London because then they can at least have more of a Western way about themselves. But yeah, they're trying to portray us, but it's really the desperation to copy us. They do that anyway naturally. So that's why it's easy for the actors to do it because the regular citizens are running around trying to act like us anyway. Well, what makes me upset is when the Cynthia Revos and the Idris Elbas, when they start getting accolades or gaining accolades like awards or whatever, they're always so quick to be like the first black actor or the first black Hmm. I hate that so much. Like they always so quick to throw that black label on it, but they don't really do the diligence to recognize the delineation. You know what I'm saying? Like black or Hmm. what? Like when we use the word black in our lineage, we specify what kind of black we talking about. You know what I'm Well, saying? then So they get down in the comments and start talking about, I'm not an Akata. Pure Yoruba blood runs through the veins. That's what Lovey and Cynthia Erivo were saying. yeah, and that and
Wow.
Yoruba, they have that tribe face, and that's why it doesn't fit on our phenotype because we don't have one thing in us. yeah, and like Tariq has said before several times, anytime they do something good or win an accomplishment, the first thing they do is shout out their homeland. That's the first thing they do. You Yep. know, they immediately shout out to Nigeria, shout out to Sierra Leone, shout out to Haiti, shout out to even the brown, the very brown Latinos, that the Dominicans that could pass for FBA. First thing they do, they start speaking in Spanish, shouting out Dominican Republic. You know what Well, I'm
Well,
they've been watching us over here being the first black this and the first black that, the first black astronaut, the first black track star, the first black this and that. They've been watching that, right? And they want a piece of the action. The problem is this is about us. There's no such thing as a first Chinese person, dude. No, no one stopped Chinese people from doing anything. It's a big deal when we do it. We were enslaved. We weren't even allowed to participate in things. Okay? I don't care who the first Chinese person do something. Nobody enslaved Chinese people and stopped them as a people from doing anything. And that goes for everybody else, nearly everybody else on the planet. They were not stopped from participating in things. So nobody cares if you're the first of anything to do anything. It doesn't make any sense. No one stopped you from doing it. You know what's interesting that I just thought about? You never hear the first white of anything. Like you never hear that. Just really think about it. You never hear Because the nobody stopped them from being. It's not a big milestone. We celebrate our milestones because people did not want us to be mayors of things, governors of things. You see, each thing that we've done, it's because our group was stopped from doing it. That's what the whole first black is. Nobody's stopping people from Uganda from doing things. And that's why they should say, I'm Ugandan. I'm not trying to be the first black anything. You're not black. This term black is general, and it's a term we chose because we did not know each of the groups we were related to in these places. The you know general what terms are not for them, they have a specific name. this is just a thought I have really quick. It's just a quick thought. I've been saying this for a while, and I like to, or if you guys want to do another space on it later, you can. But I still want to put it out. I just think that black FBA businesses, I just think they should stop highlighting that it's black owned. I don't like that, and the reason I don't like that is because, for one, I feel like we're the only group of people who have to make sure people know the race of the person that owns the business. And I
Everybody
hate
else
the
does that too, though.
I
Korean owned, Jamaican owned cuisine.
no,
You know,
nah, I don't no, I don't you hear that here and there, but it's not as widely as we do it. Like I'll give you a perfect example. Like I live in Atlanta. I have a black person walk up to me, or if I go in the liquor store and want to buy something to drink, perfect example. And they have those people that's standing there and they give you the little shots, the little sample shots to try to get you to go and buy the liquor or whatever. And the first thing they say, oh, this is a black owned company. It's a black owned liquor. It's like, listen, I don't, we don't have, I get the point. Like I get you want to you want people to know who they're supporting, but the main reason is I feel like you kind of push clientele away by doing that because now it's like okay you kind of reduce it to just one group of people instead
I'm
of
more
just
likely to
like
go if I know if it's black owned. I'm more likely to go multiple times too.
that's what I'm saying. Like I just don't think like I said I know that's not what we talking about right now. It was just a thought because perfect example. Like when do you see ever go in a restaurant and they say it's white owned? If it said it's white owned, we'll probably feel away about like what the fuck y'all mean it's white
Well,
owned?
well, I'm gonna have a space on that.
Um, It's assumed that it's
Yeah.
white because it's assumed that it's a white establishment, I guess. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out because we was talking about They might first. start talking about Christian owned, and so people won't expect them to make, you know, certain cakes or something that go against their beliefs. Right.
Yeah, when people say black owned, they're not saying it to like the general public. They're only saying it to other like black Americans who they who they perceive as black Americans, who they want to continue to patronize, their place of establishment. They're not saying it to other ethnic groups.
Yeah, my bad, professor. I wasn't trying to take it
No, no, you're
to.
good. That's an interesting. Do me a favor and DM me that topic because I think that's getting a lot of traction and it's interesting. It's something I tend to disagree with you a little bit, but it's getting a whole bunch of traction in here. So I want to know we gonna ride that one out. So DM that one to me, bro, and we gonna ride that one out.
Yeah,
We
I
go.
just like to see what people's thoughts is about it, and who do we feel like a business or even an institution or whatever, you know, do they is it necessary to make sure people know that it's quote unquote black owned. And real quick, I've seen black owned as a label on a Hmm. business, and it was a bunch of Nigerians in there. Oh yeah, they are
Yeah,
yeah, So
yeah, and that
horribly
one,
abusive.
I agree with that. We need some type of better business bureau. Don't bite this idea, but we need some black better business bureau to verify. Shit, that's an idea right there.
I
Do,
saw a white woman that had black owned on her restaurant, but she made a mistake and took up a picture of her face. And she was, wow, yeah, she's yeah, pandering. She's pandering. yeah. She really did. She made a mistake. She had a collection of pictures of the business, but she had a personal picture of herself and it said black owned on it. I also have seen Arab people say black owned when they were trying to Yep, target yep. too. So I don't know. I have mixed emotions on it because I feel like it could lead to sabotage of the business. And we already can see that people are going to lie about being it, but we do need to have some network to so people can say, hey, that's a black business and I want to support it. So I don't know really how to do that so that they know it's a maybe have like a directory or something and not And just depending okay. depending on who the black person is, the rapper Young Jeezy went through that. He had a business in Atlanta, and
yeah, the steakhouse, and then they found out it was black, and then everybody stopped going there. Do me a favor, because I do have some I want to talk about. I got a friend of
Hold
mine.
on, Professor. Can you finish that thought? Like, why would they stop going to a steakhouse? That's kind of odd. Why they
no,
stop
no,
Oh,
no,
going
no,
there?
well,
no. That's not what happened. The opposite happened. People found out he was the owner, and it drew the wrong type of crowd there.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I
yeah,
saw
yeah.
they were
That
they
Yeah,
were
that's what
they,
I
they were
that's what
like
I was gonna
dancing and,
say.
and twerking in there,
yeah,
weren't
Yeah,
they?
that's what I was gonna say. Is he it came out that he wasn't the whole owner. He was like a partial share owner or something. It was a steakhouse in Buckhead, wasn't it?
yeah, and all the
And
and all the game bangers and twerkers and
Yeah, they were
everybody start.
twerking. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
but
They just
I feel like they was sent there, man. Like that happened to one of my homeboys, but I don't want to give that up. Let's go ahead and do me a favor, so he DM me that now, and we
okay.
we might have that as part of a space tomorrow, like part of the headline. I'm gonna because that's something I want to hash out. I got something I want to say. That shit happened to one of my homeboys in Birmingham. He opened a bar from his he's a Kappa. and the Kappas all could they they throw good parties. He opened a bar that for years was off the chain. They had all white parties and shit. And then he had the bright idea to put it in the paper like, hey, this is me and my frat brothers. We open this. The Kappas open this. That shit was closed in 2 weeks. But we'll talk
Damn.
about it. All right, we're gonna get three more people and then uh-oh. Well, let's go ahead with uh Fua Fua and we'll get Miss Stacy Black. Let's make it quick because Tariq is on. Go ahead, Fua Fua.
Hey everybody, good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So yeah, super quick. As far as Cynthia Erivo goes, now I'm from Cleveland originally. I'm out here in the West Coast now. But we had a we still should have a rich jazz culture. We actually had jazz clubs, where it celebrated everybody from all around the world, who love the form of jazz. And we also had like a little back end channel that would come on late at night owned by a local city station. And they would actually show things like Billie Holiday. Um, I'm sorry, I forgot the young lady who danced with the bananas. But they showed the original black and white videos of them singing. It was a beautiful thing to see. And what I had noticed was during COVID, once they came out this way, I love jazz music. So I was looking up black jazz female singers during COVID, and Cynthia Erivo popped up. But this was before I knew who she was. She was popping up all over the place, and her face kept coming up in my searches. And so this takes me back to where you had mentioned earlier, all of you had mentioned that the elites have now taken over and they're controlling what we see. Well, this was on YouTube where I looked her up, and that's all I could find was Cynthia, Cynthia, Cynthia. I was not seeing anything about a Miss Billie Holiday or a Miss Ella Fitzgerald. I had to do some deep searching. So I definitely think it's some type of programming. Definitely when I first saw her and listened to her sing uh,
It's
jazz.
it's it's an algorithm, and it's called. If you want to look it up, it's called impressions. Impressions algorithm, and it's done. It's fucking mind control. We did a study on it at the college I was at last year, or was 2023, and they found we made like a little discovery that one of the professors was doing. I've told y'all about the study on porn. They're trying to see if porn, what the effect porn was having on birth rates, but they found that it was impressions on porn when they try to look up, no matter how, when they try to look up uh, straight porn, it wouldn't, it kept suggesting other things like, so it's this mind control, man. But go, Lane, you're playing.
Okay, thank you. So it was just with her when I first listened to her before I knew who she was, something didn't sit right in my spirit with hearing her sing, seeing how she performed. It didn't feel right with me, so I just never got into her. Um, and just really quickly, as far as the illegals paternal to FBAs, I don't think they act paternal. Proof was shown that now they're referring to Trump as daddy. Uh, the white man is the father, and it's like a lot of the illegals are acting like the big sister or the eldest sibling who's telling you what to do, and then when us, who's the rebellious ones who we don't listen, we say mind your business. The first person they run to is a white person, especially if you're in the workplace, and next thing you know
Mm-mm.
you're in trouble. So that's my thought process on that. They're not paternal, they're more like the angry big older siblings. So I'll end my plane. Thank you. Excellent.
Thank,
Excellent
thank you, Fua
analogy.
Fua. Hopefully, I'll see you again. I appreciate your submission. We're gonna go to Black Truth, Grassroots, and then Miss Stacy. We'll have final words.
Salute, family. I just wanted to cover this real quick. I know that brother, so I think it was Solon. Was that him? I
Mm,
can't see him.
there is a Solon, but I don't remember seeing him today.
Anyway, there was a brother who was talking about the need or the lack thereof to declare whether a business is a black owned business or not. I definitely
Mhm.
disagree with that point. I do understand where the brother was coming from, but yeah, there's definitely a need for us to distinguish black owned businesses and specifically FBA owned businesses because unlike other industries, unlike other ethnic groups, we're the most sabotaged. We're the ones who
Facts.
are targeted the most. And like Fire Nagy said, typically we don't reveal that kind of information unless it's with someone who we perceive is a brother or a sister. So it's not like we're throwing up a sign on a highway or something declaring this is a black owned restaurant, please, come and support because we're black owned and just because we're black owned alone. No, typically it's you're going to a place, you get to talk with brothers and sisters, and they tell you, hey, by the way, this is a black owned establishment. We would love to have your business. So there are there are solutions. Some of you know that I'm working on the B1 Rolodex. I recently added something very cool. I'm going to be releasing a video about that pretty soon. But yeah, it's starting to grow. Right now, I have a few contributors from around the Midwest and other parts, so it's starting to grow. We're almost at 500 entries, and eventually, we're gonna be seeing this. I think being a very useful tool as far as distinguishing. Okay, this establishment really is quote unquote black owned because, as the brother did mention to his credit, sometimes you walk up to an establishment and they say black owned, and then, hello, welcome. You get all these weird foreign accents, people who are not truly of the lineage. So it's very important for us to distinguish and for us to support our own because no one else is going to do it. And again, we're the most sabotaged out of any other group. So it's very important to keep that alive. And I would love to be in that space, Professor Allen, if when you do host that space. But anyway, I'll land my plane there.
I just wanted to
Yeah, I'll let you
I
know.
wanted to say real quickly, there's no prestige in saying Caribbean owned business or African owned business. It's just nothing to it. And I had a very public argument with a woman who wanted to say first black when she was from Uganda. And she was told by her people, why don't you just say first African to do this or that? And she refused. She needed to be first black. And first
Mm-hmm.
African, they put that in the articles anyway. They called her first African and they said I was first black. But she didn't want to, and she bitterly refused to rebrand herself as first African to do something. Why don't they feel at first African means anything? It doesn't mean anything because, again, Africans have been around a long time and no one's stopping them from doing things.
And Africa is a continent, and it's a continent that
Yeah.
doesn't talk to each other. There's no highway that goes through Africa. You got to go through how many different countries? It's
Yep.
disorganized.
I think the reason
Anyway,
why she wanted to be the first black is she could cover black Americans as well, and then she could kind
Mm-hmm.
of come back and she could make money off of us. So you say you're the first African. There's no marketing money. There's no endorsement money. But if you say you're the first black, okay, now I can go market to those Negroes over there in the states, and they pay a lot.
Yep.
I
wow,
can have a book deal, and I can have a movie.
wow, terrible. Just using this grassroots, grassroots going once, grassroots going twice. All right, Miss Stacy, you got last words, and we're gonna reconvene on
No, I was trying
Tariq's.
to.
Go ahead, grassroots. Oh, never mind. He got kicked down. Stacy, what's on your mind? Uh oh,
What's the
what happened to
term?
Stacy?
Oh no.
That's weird. Stacy got bumped down. Hold on. I didn't do none of that. I didn't bump him down. It just kind of went down. Yes,
Yes.
sir. What's on your mind?
So when y'all said come on, I had to take my coat off.
Okay.
But
What's on your mind, bro?
so quickly because I know y'all said Tariq on. So to make it quick, I say all right. Within the span of 100 years, we can talk about the diaspora
And I'm like, we can go back just to the 1900s and we look at, okay, what was going on across uh, black people in other countries and us. We were steadily focused on innovation and building, and we were coming up with the Nation of Islam, Deacon Defense. You had the Christian community. You had our innovators. You had all the names. Everybody know the names if I bring them up. But we had people who were constantly coming up with ways to make society better for us. Now you can go to Jamaica, Haiti. You know, they ride on what happened in the 1800s and all that. We could just go off the 1900s. What were y'all doing during the 1900s? You can go to Brazil, South South America, Africa. They all talk about, well, we're dealing with oppression. We were dealing with oppression, but the thing is, we were organized enough to stay focused on that. We embraced our blackness as pride. Y'all look at y'all blackness as a negative, and that was what hindered y'all from actually tapping into y'all melanin to make y'all creative. We tapped into our melanin and looked at it as a positive, and then we knew how to connect with the universe and tap into that energy to now make us great. That's when we talk about that majority spirit. We tap into it as a way to uplift us. They look at their blackness as a negative. That's why in Latin America they can't get shit cracking. You look at all them Latin American nations with black people, and they haven't built shit. Not one organization have they come together with that you can even name, because again they look at their blackness as a negative. And so, black people in America, we're the only black people, and I still give credit out of North Central Island because they don't fuck around. They like, nah, ain't nobody come over here. But we have been under an oppressive system, but our power was we always saw our blackness as a positive, and that's what white people always hated. They hated that damn these niggas. They oh y'all niggers, woo, woo, y'all black. We all right. What up, nigga? You feel me? Shit. So we knew how to always use alchemy in our minds to flip the script. And so what makes us great in North America is that we look at our blackness as a positive and we embrace our power. The other groups, whether it be Africa, all over the planet, yeah, they know, they come over here, oh, these people look like us. They don't have our spirit though. They don't look at themselves the way we look at each other, know how they've gone through the centuries of experiences of embracing that as we do. And that's what they don't get. That's why they can't do it, is because we've gone through centuries of transferring that through generations of you embrace who you are. They ran from who they are. We've embraced it. So I made it short because I know y'all want to make it short. So I'm leaving it at that. Well, I really appreciate that take, and you're right. They have a whole mantra of improving the race. So they're trying to get rid of blackness. So if you don't like blackness, stop calling yourself black and stop saying you're the first black and stop saying you have a black business. If you have a whole country like Jamaica saying out of many one, our race is Jamaican, and all this other stuff, saying that they're the same as the Chinese, the Indians, and the Arabs over there, they don't embrace the term black. And the same thing with the South Americans, they have the improve the race, a mantra. They've been trying to get rid of the blackness. So don't come over here talking about you're the first black anything from a Latin American country. Don't do that because you don't respect black. That's what the problem is. They're not going to be good at something when they want to be white. If your goal in your heart is to be white and to achieve being a light skinned Cuban when you're a dark skinned Cuban, if that's your goal, stay out of my ethnic group and out of our business because you definitely have nothing to do with us.
Yep, yep. That sums it up. I really enjoyed this space. I learned a lot. Tomorrow we will reconvene, but until that point, I'm gonna see y'all on Tariq Space. Any last words, Wani and Nikki?
Good night.
Good night.
All right, yeah, you can, ladies and gentlemen, you can purchase my book at Our Story Publications. Just put $25 on the Cash App and put your full address. Until then, I'll see you later. Peace out.